Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving straight into NDTV's absolutely glowing 4-star review of Christopher Nolan's highly anticipated film, The Odyssey. We're going to break down exactly how a modern master tackles, well, one of history's absolute oldest stories. Right off the bat, we've got to confront a pretty fascinating challenge. The ending of Homer's epic? Yeah, it's hardly a mystery. I mean, you can literally find the entire plot with a quick internet search. So the big question is, how does a director make a completely spoiled plot feel so compelling? How do you keep an audience on the edge of their seats when the story has been around for nearly 3 millennia? To answer that, this explainer is going to break the review down into 5 key areas. We've got 1, a familiar myth reimagined; 2, the psychological battlefield; 3, a powerhouse ensemble cast; 4, pure cinema in IMAX; and finally, 5, the final verdict. All right, Section 1, a familiar myth reimagined. The long journey home. You know, getting lost just isn't what it used to be. Today, you just follow a little blue dot on your phone, right? But for King Odysseus, we are talking about a decade-long struggle. The review points out that there are absolutely no narrative surprises here. The broad outline is exactly what you'd expect. Odysseus is just desperate to reunite with his wife, Penelope, and his son, Telemachus. Along the way, he hits all the classic roadblocks: angry gods, mythical creatures, impossible storms. But here's the thing. Nolan doesn't change what happens. His genius lies entirely in how he chooses to tell it. Moving on to Section 2, the psychological battlefield, the cost of survival. Now here is where we pivot from the expected setup of an ancient myth into the brilliant reality of what Nolan actually delivers. You might walk into the theater expecting, a giant CGI monster movie, but the review notes that the true obstacles aren't the monsters at all. They're the invisible wounds of guilt and trauma. Actually, the greatest force keeping Odysseus from getting home is the crushing weight of his own conscience. Think about it. He masterminded the Trojan horse. That led to the fall of Troy and the deaths of countless innocent people. So he's carrying this heavy burden that no victory can ever erase. The NDTV review puts this so powerfully, stating, "Sometimes the real battle begins after the fighting ends." That emotional conflict, that is the beating heart of the film. Every single physical obstacle on his journey feels deeply psychological. It's really less about fighting sea monsters and way more about confronting grief and the heavy, heavy cost of survival. Which brings us to Section 3, a powerhouse ensemble cast, grounding the emotion. To anchor a psychological journey this heavy, Nolan put together an absolutely incredible cast. Matt Damon delivers what the review calls a career-best performance. His Odysseus isn't some invincible superhero. He's an exhausted, deeply flawed man who's just being consumed by his past choices. Then you have Anne Hathaway, who is equally compelling. She brings this amazing grace and quiet strength to Penelope, proving she's far more than just a queen waiting around at home. And Tom Holland, he really surprises here with a wonderfully mature portrayal of Telemachus, a young man eager to prove himself, but slowly realizing the impossible expectations attached to his dad's massive legacy. The reviewer also shines a massive spotlight on the supporting cast. Zendaya's take on Athena is a total standout. Nolan gives the goddess this unexpected, deeply personal, emotional purpose. The only complaint? She just isn't on screen enough. We also get Robert Pattinson bringing arrogance and this quiet menace to his role without ever turning into a cartoon villain. Plus, Lupita Nyong'o offers an emotionally rich reinterpretation of Helen, giving her agency, grief, and humanity in ways we literally never see in these adaptations. All right, Section 4, pure cinema in IMAX, scale and immersion. To elevate this intimate story into a staggering visual spectacle, Nolan was handed a cool $250 million. And with that massive budget shooting across 5 countries in just 91 days, he commands cinematic scale like honestly no one else working today. He literally takes the grandeur of Greek mythology and turns it into a sweeping, tangible reality. While your standard modern blockbusters rely on overwhelming CGI and giant green screens, Nolan's Odyssey takes a completely different path. He relies almost entirely on practical filmmaking and real-world locations. The massive battles and intricately designed sets combine to create a textured world that genuinely transports you. It doesn't just overwhelm your senses. Every single frame has a real physical weight to it. And that is backed up by some major technical triumphs. Hoyt van Hoytema's breathtaking cinematography captures both the epic scale of mythology and the really personal isolation of these characters with pinpoint precision. Complementing those visuals is Ludwig Göransson's magnificent score, which the review notes feels like an entirely separate character in the story. Göransson knows exactly when to let the music swell and, crucially, when to just step back and let absolute silence do the storytelling. Finally, Section 5, the final verdict, flaws and triumphs. So how does the whole shebang come together? Well, the review awards the film a glowing 4 stars for its extraordinary execution, highlighting the top-tier performances and filmmaking. They do point out one minor flaw, though. There are a few moments of modern dialogue that feel kind of jarring. Hearing characters in a timeless, ancient setting refer to their parents as mom and dad momentarily pulls you out of the experience. But the reviewer is super quick to note that this doesn't derail the film at all. The absolutely most crucial takeaway from this explainer, though, is the reviewer's bold final conclusion. This is cinema designed for IMAX. Seriously, do not wait for streaming on this one. This is a movie where every image, every sound, and every single silence is meant to be truly felt in a massive theater. If this is an epic about the invisible wounds people carry long after the fighting ends, it really leaves us wondering just how deeply this reimagined myth is going to resonate with our own modern struggles. What invisible wounds will you discover on this epic journey? Are you ready to secure your IMAX ticket and find out?